I was burying the last gun when I heard her scream, not the kind of scream that comes from surprise or even pain. This was deeper, the kind that rises from somewhere so dark inside you, you didn't even know it existed until it claws its way out. I'd made that sound once myself, 3 years back, and I swore I'd never hear it again. But there it was, cutting through the Montana wind like a blade through silk. My hands were still covered in frozen dirt. The Winchester lay at the bottom of the hole I'd been digging for the past hour, wrapped in oilcloth like a body waiting for burial. I'd already said my goodbyes to it, told it I was sorry, told it I couldn't be trusted with it anymore. That was the thing about living alone on a mountain for 3 winters. You start talking to objects like they're people. Start treating silence like a companion. Start thinking maybe the world would be better off if you just stopped being part of it. I'd thought about using that Winchester on myself more times than I could count. Held it under my chin in the dark hours before dawn when the ghosts were loudest. My finger on the trigger, just needing one good reason to pull, but I never found one. Not a good enough reason to die anyway, and not a good enough reason to live either. So I was burying it. Thought maybe if I put it far enough underground, I could bury that particular temptation along with it. Put 6 feet of frozen earth between me and the easy way out. The scream came again, closer this time. I straightened up, every muscle in my back protesting. 40 years old, and I moved like a man twice that age. 3 years of grief will do that to you, turn your bones to lead and your blood to something thick and slow. The wind was coming from the east, carrying the sound across the snowfield. I squinted against the glare, scanning the white expanse between me and the tree line. At first, I saw nothing, just endless Montana winter, the kind that makes you forget color ever existed. Then I saw her, a shape in the snow, dark against white, crumpled like a shadow someone had thrown away. I should have kept filling that hole, should have covered the gun, and walked back to my cabin and pretended I'd heard nothing but wind. That's what 3 years of isolation teaches you, how to ignore the world, how to let it pass by without touching you. But something pulled me forward, some old instinct I thought I'd killed along with everything else. My boots crunched through the crust of ice as I made my way across the field, each step deliberate, each breath visible in the frozen air. The sun was high but gave no warmth, just a pale light that made everything look washed out and ghostly. As I got closer, I could see she was real, not some trick of snow and shadow. A woman lying face down in the drift, her dark hair spread around her head like spilled ink, her clothes torn, her hands bound behind her back with leather straps so tight they'd cut into the skin. Blood on the snow. Not much, but enough to know she was alive. Dead things don't bleed. I knelt beside her, my knees sinking into the powder, reached out slowly, like you would to a wounded animal, touched her shoulder. She jerked away, rolling onto her side. Her eyes flew open and locked onto mine. They were dark, so dark they were almost black, and they were awake, fully, terribly awake. She wasn't dying. She was deciding whether she wanted to. We stared at each other for a long moment. Her breath came in short gasps, making small clouds in the air between us. I could see the marks on her face now. Bruises, cuts, the kind of damage that comes from fists and boots and deliberate cruelty. Someone had hurt this woman, badly, and then they'd left her here to die. Her lips moved. At first, no sound came out. Then a whisper, so faint I almost missed it. Mercer. I froze. That was my name. My family name. Nobody up here knew my name. I'd made sure of that. When you're hiding from life itself, you don't hand out introductions. Sarah Mercer's husband? The ground tilted under me. Sarah, my wife's name. A name I hadn't heard spoken out loud in 3 years. A name I only whispered to myself in the dark when the loneliness got so heavy I thought it might crush me. My throat had gone dry. How do you know that name? She was struggling to sit up now, her bound hands making it nearly impossible. I reached behind her, pulled out my knife, and cut through the leather straps in one quick motion. They fell away, revealing raw, bleeding wounds where they'd bitten into her wrists. She brought her hands forward slowly, cradling them against her chest, flexed her fingers like she was surprised they still worked. Then she looked up at me again. "Because my mother saved her life 15 winters ago." The words hit me like a physical blow. I sat back on my heels, staring at this broken woman in the snow, trying to make sense of what she was saying. 15 years ago, that would have been 1872. Sarah and I had only been married a year. She was pregnant with Daniel, our first. She'd insisted on traveling to Arizona to see her dying mother, despite me begging her not to go. Not in her condition, not across that desert. I couldn't go with her. I was working a mining claim that couldn't be left. So she went alone. And she nearly died out there. I remember the letter that came 3 weeks later. Sarah's handwriting, shaky but alive. She'd gotten lost on the way back from Fort Verde, wandered off the main trail trying to find water, spent 2 days in the desert sun with nothing to drink but her own spit. She would have died, should have died. But an Apache woman found her, gave her water, gave her food, walked her back to the fort and disappeared before Sarah could even thank her properly. Sarah told me that story every year on Daniel's birthday. Said it was a miracle. Said God had sent that woman to save not just her, but our unborn child. She'd cried every time she told it. Said she owed that stranger a debt she could never repay. I'd forgotten about it. Somewhere in the last 3 years of grief and isolation, I'd let that memory slip away like so many others. But now it was back, rising up through the frozen ground like something buried too shallow. "Your mother," I said slowly. "The woman who saved Sarah, that was your mother?" She nodded. "Winona. She died 2 winters ago. I'm sorry." "Are you?" There was no anger in her voice, just curiosity. Like she genuinely wanted to know if I was capable of being sorry for someone I'd never met. I thought about it. "Yes," I said finally. "Yes, I am. Without her, Sarah would have died in that desert. Daniel would have died before he was born. So would Rose 5 years later. Your mother gave me 15 more years with my family. That's worth being sorry about when she's gone." The woman studied my face for a long moment. Then she reached inside her torn shirt and pulled out something that had been hanging around her neck on a leather cord. A silver locket. Small, tarnished, but unmistakable. I knew that locket. I'd given it to Sarah on our wedding day. Inside was a tiny photograph of the two of us, young and stupid with hope. "She gave you this?" My voice barely worked. "Not to me, to my mother. Before she left the fort, your wife took this off her neck and put it around my mother's. She said, 'One day, if your daughter ever needs help, bring her this. Find the man who married me. Tell him I asked him to remember the water.'" The water. That's exactly what Sarah would have said. Remember the water. Remember the gift. Remember the debt. My hands were shaking. I reached out and took the locket, holding it in my palm like something sacred. The silver was warm from being against her skin. I could see my own fingerprints in the tarnish, ghosts of touches from another lifetime. "What's your name?" I asked. "Kimimela." "That's Apache?" "Dakota. My father was Dakota. My mother was Apache. I am both and neither." She said it matter of fact, like she'd explained it 1,000 times before. "Why did they do this to you?" I gestured at her wounds, the torn clothes, the blood in the snow. "Because I could not give them children. A woman who cannot bear children is cursed. Bad luck. They cast me out. They beat you and left you to die because you couldn't get pregnant? It is our way. It's a damned cruel way. Most ways are." She was trying to stand now, using me for support. I helped her up, feeling how light she was. Too light. They hadn't just beaten her. They'd starved her too. Once she was on her feet, she swayed but didn't fall. Looked around at the endless white, at the distant mountains, at my cabin barely visible through the trees. "I walked for 3 days," she said. "I knew you lived on this mountain. My mother told me before she died. She said if I ever needed help, to find Sarah Mercer's husband, to remind him about the water." She paused. But your wife, where is she? I pointed toward the tree line, toward the 3 wooden crosses I'd carved myself. Toward the graves I visited every morning and every night. Rain or snow or wind. Dead, I said. All 3 of them. Sarah, Daniel, Rose, 3 years ago. Her face didn't change, but something shifted in her eyes. Understanding, maybe. Or recognition. The look of someone who's met grief before and knows its shape. How? Fire. Someone burned down my cabin while I was out hunting. They were looking for gold. Didn't know my family was inside. I heard my own voice say the words like they belonged to someone else. Like I was telling a story about strangers. I'm sorry, she said. Are you? I threw her own question back at her. Yes. Because now I have brought you my mother's debt, and you have no one left to share it with. We stood there in the snow, 2 broken people, looking at each other across a distance that had nothing to do with space and everything to do with pain. The wind picked up, throwing ice crystals against my face. I knew I should make a decision. Take her to my cabin or leave her here. Help her or walk away. Honor Sarah's promise or bury it along with that Winchester. But something Sarah had said to me once long ago came back. We were lying in bed, Daniel asleep between us, Rose not even born yet. She'd been talking about that Apache woman who saved her. If I'd died out there, she'd said, our children would have died with me. Every moment of joy we have, every laugh, every sunrise, every kiss. We owe all of it to a woman whose name I barely remember and whose face I'll never see again. That's a debt that can never be repaid, Silas, only honored. I looked at Kimimela, at her bruised face and bleeding wrists and eyes that held the same emptiness I saw in the mirror every morning. Can you walk? I asked. I can try. Good. My cabin's about a mile through those trees. I've got food, water, medicine. You can stay until you're strong enough to leave. And then? Then you leave. The debt will be paid. Will it? I didn't answer, just turned and started walking, trusting she'd follow. And she did, limping through the snow behind me, neither of us speaking. Behind us, the Winchester lay in its shallow grave, waiting to be buried or dug up again. I hadn't decided which yet. Ahead, smoke rose from my cabin's chimney. A place I'd turned into a tomb for my memories. A place that hadn't held another living soul in 3 years. I was bringing Death's sister into the house of death. Maybe we'd destroy each other. Or maybe, somehow, we'd figure out how to live. The snow kept falling. The wind kept blowing. And somewhere in the distance, I could have sworn I heard Sarah's voice on the wind, saying the same thing she'd said to me 1,000 times when I was being stubborn or proud or stupid. Remember the water, Silas. Remember the gift. Remember the debt. I remembered. God help me, I remembered. The cabin was exactly as I'd left it 3 hours ago. Dark, cold, empty. I pushed open the door and the hinges screamed. I'd stopped oiling them months back. Liked the warning they gave. Up here, anything that moved made noise, and noise meant you weren't alone. Even if it was just the wind, or a deer, or your own shadow, at least it was something. Kimimela stood at the threshold, not entering, just looking, taking in the single room with its stone fireplace, rough table, narrow bed, the shelf with 3 tin cups that would never be used again, the rocking chair Sarah had loved, now covered in dust. Come in or don't, I said, moving past her to the fireplace. But decide quick, you're letting the cold in. She stepped inside, moved like a cat, careful and quiet. Her eyes went to every corner, every shadow, looking for threats, looking for escape routes, looking for whatever it is you look for when trust is a language you've forgotten how to speak. I built up the fire from the embers I'd banked that morning, added kindling, then logs, watched the flames catch and grow. Heat started pushing back against the cold, slow but steady. Sit, I said, gesturing to the chair by the fire. She sat, carefully, like the chair might bite her, kept her back straight, her hands in her lap, ready to run or fight at the first wrong move. I filled a pot with water from the barrel by the door, hung it over the fire to heat. Pulled out the medicine box I kept under the bed. Cloth for bandages, honey for wounds, whiskey for pain, inside and out. "This is going to hurt," I said, bringing the supplies to the table. "Everything hurts." Fair point. I cleaned her wrists first. The leather straps had cut deep, leaving raw trenches in the skin. She didn't flinch when I pressed the cloth to the wounds. Didn't make a sound. Just watched me work with those dark, unreadable eyes. "You've done this before," she said. "What?" "Tended wounds. Had to learn. Out here, you're your own doctor." I paused. "Also had to patch up Daniel once when he fell out of a tree. Broke his arm in 2 places. Cried the whole time I was setting it, but he was only 6. You're tougher than a 6-year-old boy." "Am I?" I looked up at her. Most people would be screaming by now. I used up all my screams 3 days ago. I tied off the bandage on her left wrist, moved to the right. "What happened 3 days ago?" "They made their decision, the elders. They said I was cursed, said I brought bad luck to the tribe, said the only way to break the curse was to send me away. By beating you half to death? By making sure I understood I was no longer one of them. Pain is a language everyone speaks." I finished the second bandage, moved to the cuts on her face. They were shallower but angrier, already showing signs of infection. "This is going to sting," I warned, dabbing honey onto the wounds. She didn't flinch. "My mother used honey too. She said it was better than any white man's medicine." "Your mother was right." We were quiet for a while. Just the sound of the fire crackling, the wind outside, my hands working carefully across her damaged skin. "You have her eyes," I said, not really meaning to say it out loud. "What?" "Sarah, when I'm cleaning these cuts, you get this look. Same one she'd get when she was trying not to cry. Determined, stubborn. Like if you just hold still enough, the pain can't find you." Kimimela tilted her head slightly. "Did it work? For her?" She couldn't avoid the pain, but she was hell on wheels at refusing to show it. "I like her already." "You would have loved her. She had a way of making everyone feel like they mattered, like their story was worth hearing." I sat back, done with the bandaging. "She would have insisted you stay as long as you needed, would have made you soup, would have talked your ear off about everything and nothing. And you? What do you insist?" "I don't insist anything. I'm just repaying a debt." "You said that already." "I meant it." She looked around the cabin again, her gaze landing on the shelf with the 3 cups, then to the small cradle in the corner, partially burned, that I couldn't bring myself to throw away or fix. "You keep their things," she said. "Some of them." "Why?" "Because if I get rid of them, it means admitting they're really gone, and I'm not ready to do that yet. It's been 3 years." "I know how long it's been." My voice came out sharper than I meant. "I know because I've counted every single day, 738 days since the fire. Since I came home and found nothing but ashes and smoke and 3 bodies I couldn't save because I wasn't there to try." The silence that followed was heavy. Kimimela didn't apologize, didn't try to comfort me. Just sat there, letting the truth hang in the air between us like something solid. Finally, she spoke. "I had a child too." I looked up, surprised. "I thought you said you couldn't bear children." "I said they cast me out for not bearing children. I didn't say I never had one." She stared into the fire. "A boy, he lived for 2 winters. Then there was a raid. White men looking for Apache camps to destroy. My son was trampled by horses. I couldn't get to him in time. I'm sorry." "Are you?" For the 3rd time, we traded that question. And for the 3rd time, I meant my answer. "Yes, I am. Because I know what it's like to count the ways you failed, to replay every decision and wonder if changing just one thing would have changed everything." "What would you change?" I thought about it, really thought about it. I'd have gone with her to Arizona. I'd have left the mining claim, lost the money, risked everything. But I'd have been with Sarah when she got lost in that desert. I'd have been the one who found her, not your mother. And then maybe I'd have understood earlier how precious borrowed time really is. "You think you would have saved them, your family, if you'd been there during the fire?" "I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But at least I'd have tried. At least I'd have died trying instead of living with knowing I wasn't there. Kimimela was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that hit me harder than any fist ever could. My son's name was Little Wolf. He loved to laugh. He would laugh at everything. Rain, birds, his own shadow. The elders said a child who laughed too much would anger the spirits. They said maybe that's why he died. Too much joy. She paused. But I don't believe that. I believe he died because bad things happen, and we make up stories to pretend they mean something. You don't believe in spirits? I believe in what I can see. Pain, loss, survival. Everything else is just noise we make to feel less alone. I understood that. God, I understood that better than anything I'd heard in 3 years. The water was boiling now. I made weak tea with the last of my dried leaves, poured it into 2 cups. Handed one to her. She held it with both hands, letting the warmth seep into her fingers. Tell me about them, your family. Why? Because you keep their cups on a shelf. Their cradle in a corner, their ghosts in every breath you take. If you're going to share this place with me, I should at least know who I'm sharing it with. So I told her about Sarah, how we met at a church social in Denver, me fresh from the mines and her fresh from everywhere, a preacher's daughter who'd seen half the territories, how she'd laughed at my jokes even when they weren't funny, how she'd said yes to marrying me before I'd even finished asking. Told her about Daniel, serious even as a baby, always watching, always thinking. How he'd wanted to be a blacksmith like his grandfather, how he'd spend hours hammering nails into boards, making nothing useful, but learning the rhythm of it. Told her about Rose, wild and bright and impossible to contain, how she'd climb trees that had no business being climbed, how she'd sing made-up songs about clouds and rabbits and the shape smoke made in the sky. Told her how they died. Came home from a 2-day hunting trip to find the cabin burned to foundation stones. Found Sarah and the children inside, died from smoke before the flames ever touched them. Found evidence of forced entry, boot prints in the ash, signs of a search. Someone had been looking for something. Gold, I said. I'd worked a claim 5 years back, made decent money. But I'd spent it all building this cabin, buying livestock, setting up a life. Didn't have any gold left, but someone thought I did. And they killed my family looking for it. Did you find them, the ones who did it? No, only saw one set of boot prints. Large, military issue. And something else. I paused, not sure I wanted to say the next part. But I was already in this deep. Might as well drown completely. I heard a voice, just for a second, as I was riding up to the cabin. Heard someone shout an order to another man. I didn't see their faces, but I knew that voice. Who was it? My brother, Nathaniel. Kimimela's eyes widened slightly. Your own brother burned down your home? I don't know if he knew it was my home. Nathaniel and I hadn't spoken in 10 years. He went off to fight in the Indian Wars, came back different, meaner. Then he disappeared. I thought he'd died. But you heard him. I heard someone who sounded like him. Could have been wrong. Probably was wrong. Grief makes you hear things that aren't there. Do you believe that? That you were wrong? I looked into my tea, seeing my reflection distorted in the dark liquid. No, I know my brother's voice, and I know what I heard. Then why haven't you gone looking for him? Because if I find him, I'll kill him. And then I'll have nothing left at all. No family, no purpose, just blood on my hands and a rope around my neck. I set down my cup. At least now I have something to hold on to, even if it's just hate. The fire popped, sending sparks up the chimney. Outside, the wind was picking up. Going to be a cold night. They were all cold nights now. Kimimela finished her tea and set the cup down carefully. I should sleep, if you'll allow it. Take the bed, I'll sleep in the chair. That's not necessary. It is for me. I don't sleep much anymore anyway. She didn't argue, just moved to the bed, lay down on top of the blankets fully clothed, closed her eyes. I thought she'd fallen asleep immediately, but after a few minutes, she spoke into the darkness. Thank you for not leaving me in the snow. Don't thank me yet. You don't know what kind of man I am. I know you're the kind who buries guns instead of using them. That's enough for now. How did she know about that? Had she been watching me before I found her? The thought should have troubled me, but somehow it didn't. I added another log to the fire and settled into the rocking chair. Sarah's chair. Let it creak under my weight with that familiar sound. Closed my eyes but didn't sleep. Just listened to Kimimela breathe, slow and steady. The sound of someone who'd finally stopped running, at least for tonight. And outside, the snow kept falling, covering tracks, burying secrets, turning the whole world white and clean and temporary as a lie. Somewhere out there, Nathaniel was alive. I knew it in my bones, knew it the way you know a storm is coming before the first drop of rain, and somewhere out there, the people who'd cast out Kimimela were probably looking for her, not to bring her back, to make sure she stayed gone. I'd brought trouble into my home, into the last place that held memories of my family. But as I sat there in the dark, listening to a stranger sleep in my dead wife's bed, I realized something. For the first time in 3 years, the cabin didn't feel quite so empty, and I wasn't sure if that was a blessing or a curse. The fire burned low, the night grew deep, and somewhere in my chest, in a place I thought had died with my family, something stirred. Not hope, not yet, but maybe the memory of what hope used to feel like. That scared me more than anything, because the only thing worse than having nothing left to lose is finding out you might have something worth holding on to after all. The wind rattled the windows. Kimimela made a small sound in her sleep, somewhere between a whimper and a sigh. I pulled a blanket over her without waking her. Then I went back to my chair and waited for dawn, same as always. But this time, I wasn't waiting alone. Morning came gray and cold, the kind of dawn that never quite commits to being day. I'd been awake all night, watching shadows move across the cabin walls, listening to the wind test every crack and corner of the place I'd built with my own hands. Kimimela woke just after sunrise. Didn't startle or jerk awake like someone coming out of a nightmare. Just opened her eyes, oriented herself, and sat up, moved like someone who'd learned a long time ago that showing weakness was a luxury you couldn't afford. "How long have you been watching me?" she asked. "I wasn't watching you. I was watching the door." "Why?" "Because people who leave women to die in the snow usually like to make sure the job's finished." She swung her legs off the bed, tested her weight, winced, but didn't make a sound. "They won't come this far. The elders cast me out. To them, I'm already dead." "And the ones who actually did the beating? They think the same?" She didn't answer. Didn't need to. We both knew how these things worked. Official decisions were one thing, personal grudges were another. Someone had enjoyed hurting her. Someone always did. I'd made coffee while she slept. Real coffee, not the chicory substitute I'd been drinking for months. Handed her a cup. She took it, surprised. "You wasted good coffee on me?" "Wasn't a waste. I've been saving it for something." Turns out, another living person is something. We drank in silence. The coffee was strong and bitter and perfect. First real thing I'd tasted in longer than I could remember. "I should go," Kimimela said after a while. "You've done enough. The debt is paid." "Go where?" "North. Canada, maybe. I have distant family there. Dakota relatives who might take me in. That's 300 miles through winter. You'd be dead in a week." "Then I'd be dead. At least I wouldn't be your problem anymore." I set down my cup harder than I meant to. "You're not my problem. You're my wife's last wish. There's a difference." "Is there?" Before I could answer, we both heard it. Hoofbeats. Multiple horses, moving steady through snow, not running, not searching, coming with purpose. I grabbed the rifle I kept by the door, the one I hadn't buried, moved to the window and looked out through a crack in the shutters. 4 riders. 3 Apache warriors in traditional dress, 1 younger man in a mix of native and settler clothing. They stopped about 50 yards from the cabin, horses stamping and blowing steam into the cold air. The man in front was older, maybe 30. Broad shoulders, hard face, eyes that had seen too much and forgotten how to look away. He sat his horse like he'd been born on it. Kimimela came up beside me, looked out. Her whole body went rigid. "Who is he?" I asked. "Dakota, My brother. He's come for you. He's come to make sure I stay gone. The younger man, the one in mixed clothing, dismounted and walked forward, stopped about 20 feet from the cabin and called out in clear English. The man called Silas Mercer. We know you're inside. We know you have the woman called Kimmy Mela. We've come to speak, not to fight. Not yet. I opened the door, but kept the rifle ready. I'm Mercer. What do you want? The young man looked back at Dakota, who nodded. He turned to me again. My name is Young Hawk. I speak for Dakota, war chief of the Red Mesa Band. He says the woman in your cabin is outcast. She belongs to no one, not to her people, not to you. I'm not keeping her. She's free to go whenever she wants. But she's still here. Why? Because she's hurt. Because it's winter. Because I owe a debt to her mother. Young Hawk translated. Dakota's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe, or suspicion. He spoke in Apache. Young Hawk translated. Dakota says his mother Winona is dead. Her debts died with her. You have no claim to his sister. And he has no claim either if she's outcast like you say. Seems to me she's the only one who gets to decide where she goes. More Apache. Young Hawk looked uncomfortable translating this part. Dakota says you're white. You have no understanding of our ways. The woman is cursed. Anyone who shelters her shares that curse. He's giving you a chance to walk away. Tell Dakota I don't believe in curses. Tell him I believe in debts. And tell him I'm not walking away from either. Kimmy Mela put her hand on my arm. Don't do this. He'll kill you. Maybe. But he'll have to do it on my land, over my body. That ought to count for something. She looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time, or maybe seeing something in me I'd thought was dead. Young Hawk was translating my words. Dakota's jaw tightened. He dismounted in one smooth motion, pulled a knife from his belt, started walking toward the cabin. I raised the rifle. That's far enough. He kept coming. I said that's far enough. He stopped 5 feet from the porch, close enough that I could see the scars on his face, the gray starting at his temples, the absolute certainty in his eyes that he was right and I was wrong, and that was all that mattered. He spoke. Young Hawk translated from behind him. Dakota says if you shoot him, his men will kill you. Then they'll kill the woman. Is that what you want? What I want is for everyone to leave and let me finish my coffee in peace, but it's been 3 years since I got what I wanted, so I'm not holding my breath. Kimmy Mela stepped out onto the porch, stood next to me, facing her brother. Started speaking in Apache, her voice low and intense. They went back and forth, rapid-fire words I couldn't understand but could feel the weight of. Brother and sister, tied by blood and separated by something deeper than exile. Finally, Dakota sheathed his knife, spoke one last time. Young Hawk translated. He says you have 1 month. If after that time Kimmy Mela is still here, he'll come back. And he'll kill you both. Not because he hates her, because sometimes mercy looks like a knife in the dark instead of slow death in the cold. Tell him I appreciate the concern, but I'll take my chances with the cold. Dakota looked at me for a long moment, then at his sister. Something passed between them. Not forgiveness, not understanding, just acknowledgement that the world had changed and neither of them could change it back. He turned and walked back to his horse, mounted. But before he rode away, Young Hawk approached the porch alone. He spoke quietly, just loud enough for me to hear. There's something you should know. A man called Red Scar is looking for her. He's been hunting Apache women for 2 years, killing them. They say he's driven by revenge for something we did to his family. They say he wears the badge of a lawman, but has the heart of a demon. My blood went cold. Red Scar, where is he? Redemption, a town 2 days south. He's the sheriff there. Young Hawk paused. Dakota knows about him. That's part of why he wants Kimmy Mela gone. If Red Scar finds out she's here, he'll come. And he won't come alone. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired of killing, tired of hate. I see the way you look at her, the way she looks at you, like two people who've forgotten what hope feels like, but are starting to remember. Maybe that's worth protecting. He glanced back at Dakota. "I have to go, but be careful, Silas Mercer. The men who cast her out are one danger. Red Scar is another. And if I know my chief, he's not done with either of you." Young Hawk mounted and rode off with the others. We watched until they disappeared into the tree line. I lowered the rifle. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from something else, something I couldn't quite name. "Red Scar," I said quietly. "That's what they call him. You know the name. I know the man, or I think I do." I turned to face her. "My brother. The one I told you about. Nathaniel. He had a scar, big one, across his face. Got it in the war. It was red. Angry. Never healed right. You think Red Scar is your brother? I think it's possible. And if it is, if Nathaniel is hunting Apache women because he blames them for something, then you being here just became a lot more complicated. Then I'll leave. Today. Now. No. Why not? Because I need to know. If Nathaniel is alive, if he's this Red Scar, then he needs to answer for what he did to my family. And if he's hunting you, then our debts just got tangled up in ways neither of us expected. This isn't your fight. It became my fight the second I pulled you out of that snow. The second I chose to honor Sarah's memory instead of burying myself next to her. I picked up my rifle, checked the load. We're going to Redemption. That's insane. Probably, but staying here waiting for either your brother or mine to come back seems a lot worse. At least in Redemption, we'll know what we're facing. And if Red Scar is your brother, if you find him and it's Nathaniel, what then? I looked at her, at this woman I'd known for less than 24 hours. This stranger who somehow felt less like a stranger with every word we spoke. Then I'll do what I should have done 3 years ago. I'll get answers. And if those answers are what I think they'll be, I'll make sure he can't hurt anyone else ever again. You mean you'll kill him? I mean I'll do what needs doing, same as I've always done, same as I didn't do when it mattered most. Kimimela was quiet for a long time. Then she nodded. When do we leave? Tomorrow morning. I need to gather supplies, and you need one more day to heal. We're no good to anyone if you can't ride. I can ride. I'm sure you can, but you can ride better with another day's rest and hot food in you. We do this smart, or we don't do it at all. She didn't argue, just went back inside the cabin, leaving me standing on the porch. I looked out at the mountains, at the endless white that went on forever in every direction. Somewhere out there in a town called Redemption, a man called Red Scar was waiting. Whether that man was my brother or a stranger didn't change what needed to happen. I'd spent 3 years hiding from life, 3 years counting graves and nursing hate and waiting for the courage to join my family in the ground. But now something had changed. Now I had a reason to move. A purpose that wasn't just revenge or despair. I had a debt to pay, a woman to protect, a mystery to solve, and maybe, just maybe, a chance to become something other than a ghost haunting his own life. The wind picked up, throwing snow devils across the frozen field. I could almost hear Sarah's voice in it. Not words exactly, just a feeling, a certainty. She'd want me to do this, not for revenge, for closure, for the chance to finally lay the past to rest and see if there was any future worth building on the other side. I went back inside, started making plans. Tomorrow, we'd ride for Redemption. Tonight, I'd teach Kimimela how to shoot, because if we were walking into hell, we'd both need to know how to fight our way back out. The day passed in preparation. I showed Kimimela my rifles, my pistols, the knife I kept sharp enough to split hairs. She handled them like she'd held weapons before, not expertly, but not afraid either. "My father taught me," she said, "before he died. Said a woman needed to know how to protect herself because the world wouldn't do it for her. Smart man. He was, until he wasn't." She sighted down the barrel of the rifle. "He died challenging a white trader who'd cheated our band. Pulled a knife on an armed man. Brave and stupid all at once. Most brave things are stupid when you look close enough." We spent the afternoon shooting at targets, empty bottles I'd been saving for no reason, pieces of wood with charcoal circles drawn on them. She was a decent shot, Not great, but good enough to hit what she aimed at if it wasn't moving too fast. As the sun started to drop, we came back inside. I made stew from dried meat and the last of my potatoes. It wasn't much, but it was hot and filling. We ate in comfortable silence, the kind that happens when two people have moved past the need to fill every gap with words. "Tell me about Redemption," she said finally. "What kind of town is it?" "Small, maybe 200 people. Grew up around a silver mine that played out 5 years back. Now it's just another dying place full of people too stubborn or too broke to leave. And this is where Red Scar is sheriff?" According to young Hawk, which makes sense. In a twisted way. Nathaniel always liked authority, liked being the one who decided right from wrong. Being sheriff would suit him, even if he's killing innocent women. Nathaniel never saw anyone as innocent. The war did that to him. Turned the world into us and them, survivors and enemies. No room for anything in between. I scraped the last of my stew from the bowl. He used to be different when we were young. He'd find injured birds and nurse them back to health. Spent hours building little cages to keep them safe while they healed. Then he'd let them go and watch them fly away. I paused. But that was before the war, before whatever happened out there turned him into something else. You miss him, the brother he was, every day. But missing someone doesn't mean they still exist. Sometimes people die, but their bodies keep walking around. That's worse than any grave. Kimimela set down her bowl. My son, little wolf. Before he died, he told me he wanted to be a great warrior like his uncle Takota. I told him there were other things to be, healers, teachers, peacemakers. He asked me why anyone would choose peace when war was more exciting. She smiled sadly. I couldn't answer him, and now I never can. What would you tell him, if you could? I'd tell him that war is easy. It's peace that takes courage. Anyone can destroy, but to build something, to protect it, to believe it's worth protecting, even when the whole world is burning around you, that's the hardest thing there is. I thought about my cabin, about the years I'd spent building it with Sarah, the dreams we'd had for this place, the life we'd planned, all of it gone in one night of flames and screaming. I used to believe that, I said. That building was worth it. That protection mattered. But I built this place and I couldn't protect the people in it. So what was the point? The point is you tried. The point is you cared enough to try. That's more than most people manage. It wasn't enough. Nothing's ever enough when you lose someone. But it was something. And something is all any of us get. The fire was burning low. I added another log, watched the flames catch and spread. Outside, night had fallen complete. Stars were starting to show through breaks in the clouds. "We should sleep," I said. "Long ride tomorrow. Where will you sleep?" "Same place as last night, the chair." "That's foolish. The bed is big enough for two. We can sleep back to back. Share warmth." I started to argue, then stopped. She was right. And more than that, the idea of sleeping in that bed again, even with a stranger, felt less wrong than I would have expected. "All right," I said, "but if I snore, you're on your own. If you snore, I'll smother you with a pillow." It was the first joke she'd made. Small and dark, but still, a joke. We settled onto the bed, fully clothed, facing opposite directions, her back against mine. I could feel her breathing, slow and steady, could feel the heat of her through our clothes. It had been 3 years since I'd felt another person this close. 3 years since human warmth had been anything other than a memory. I thought it would hurt, thought it would feel like a betrayal of Sarah, but it didn't. It felt like coming back to life, just a little, just enough to remember what living had felt like before I'd decided to stop. "Silas?" Kimimela's voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "Yeah? Thank you for not being the kind of man who leaves people to die. Don't thank me yet. We might both end up dead before this is over. Maybe, but at least we won't die alone." She fell asleep before I did. I could tell from the change in her breathing, the way her body relaxed against mine. I stayed awake longer, thinking about tomorrow, about redemption, about the man who might be waiting there with my brother's face and a stranger's heart. Thought about what I'd do when I found him, the questions I'd ask, the answers I needed to hear, and somewhere in all that thinking, I fell asleep too, didn't dream, didn't wake, just slept deeper than I had in 3 years. When morning came, we rose together, packed supplies, saddled my horse and the spare I kept for emergencies. The sun was barely up when we rode out, heading south toward redemption, toward answers, toward whatever waited at the end of this road we'd started walking without meaning to. Behind us, the cabin stood empty again, smoke still rising from the chimney, 3 graves watching from the tree line. Ahead, 2 days of winter travel, 2 days to prepare for whatever we'd find, and somewhere in between, 2 broken people learning to trust each other with the only thing they had left worth protecting, their lives. We reached Pine Ridge on the 2nd day, a small settlement barely more than a trading post with delusions of grandeur. 15 buildings clustered around a muddy main street, a post office, a general store, a church that looked like it was losing an argument with gravity, and Nora Hutchins. She was standing outside the post office when we rode up, 55 years old, gray hair pulled back in a tight bun, eyes that missed nothing. She'd been running the mail service here for 20 years, seen every kind of person the frontier had to offer. When she saw me, her eyebrows went up. When she saw Kimimela, they went higher. "Silas Mercer," she said. "Didn't expect to see you down from your mountain. Thought you'd become part of it by now." Still flesh and blood, Nora, mostly. Her gaze shifted to Kimimela. And who's this? Someone who needed help. Apache. Dakota and Apache. Does it matter? Might. Depends on who's asking. Nora folded her arms. "You bringing trouble to my town, Silas?" "Not looking to, just passing through. Need supplies and information." "Information about what?" "A man called Red Scar. Heard he's sheriff down in Redemption." Nora's expression changed. Something hard moved behind her eyes. "What business do you have with him?" "Personal business." "Personal enough to die for?" "If it comes to that." She looked at Kimimela again. This time her gaze was sharper, measuring. "Girl, you got a name?" "Kimimela." "And you're riding with Silas here by choice?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because we share debts, and because he's the first person in a long time who didn't look at me like I was already dead." Nora snorted. "Fair enough. Come inside, both of you. You look like you could use coffee and a warm place to sit, and I've got things to say that shouldn't be said in the street." We tied the horses and followed her into the post office. It was small but well kept. Shelves of sorted mail, a pot-bellied stove putting out good heat, 2 chairs and a desk. Nora poured coffee from a pot that looked like it had been on that stove since the previous century, handed us cups that were chipped but clean. "Red Scar," she said, settling into her chair behind the desk. "Real name's Nathaniel Thornton. Least that's what he calls himself now. Been sheriff in Redemption for 2 years. Before that, he was a bounty hunter. Before that, who knows? Man doesn't talk about his past." "Thornton?" I said. "Not Mercer? Is there a reason it should be Mercer?" I set down my cup. "Because Nathaniel Mercer is my brother. And if this Red Scar is him, then he changed his name." Nora leaned back. "Your brother, the one you thought died in the Indian Wars?" "The same." "Well, that's a complication." She sipped her coffee. "This Nathaniel Thornton, he's got a scar, big red thing across half his face. Looks like a burn, and he's got a particular hatred for Apache. Arrests them on sight. Sometimes they make it to trial. Sometimes they don't." "How many women?" Kimimela asked quietly. Nora looked at her. "You heard about that?" "I heard he hunts Apache women, kills them. I heard it's revenge." "Revenge for what? Nobody knows. But in 2 years, 6 women have gone missing from the tribes around Redemption. 6 that we know about. Could be more." Nora's voice was flat. "The law doesn't care much. Apache deaths don't make the newspapers." "But you care," I said. "I do now. Didn't always." She was quiet for a moment. "I lost my son, Thomas, 5 years back. He died in a skirmish with an Apache raiding party. For a long time I blamed all of them. Every Apache I saw, wanted them dead, wanted someone to pay for my boy." What changed? Kimimela asked. Nora looked at her steadily. I learned that hate is easy. It's forgiving that's hard. And I learned that my son wouldn't have wanted me to become the kind of person who celebrates death. Any death. She reached into a drawer and pulled out a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age, carefully opened it. This is a letter, written by Thomas before he died, found it in his belongings when they sent them back. He wrote it to me, but he never got a chance to send it. She handed it to me. I read it aloud so Kimimela could hear. Mama, I'm sorry I'm not the man you thought I'd be. I'm scared every day out here. Scared of dying. Scared of killing. The Apache we fight, they're just people, just like us. They've got families, children. They're protecting their land, same as we'd protect ours. I don't know how to reconcile that with what I'm ordered to do. I don't know how to be a good soldier and a good man at the same time. If I don't come home, please don't hate them. Please don't let my death make you hard. You taught me better than that. Love, Thomas. The silence that followed was heavy. Nora took the letter back, folded it carefully, returned it to the drawer. That letter saved me from becoming someone I'd hate, reminded me that my boy was better than revenge. So when I hear about Red Scar hunting Apache women, when I hear about 6 deaths that nobody investigates because nobody cares, it makes me angry, makes me want to do something. Like what? I asked. Like help 2 fools who are riding into certain death. She looked between us. That's what you're doing, isn't it? Riding to redemption, to confront a killer? Something like that. And you think because he might be your brother, he'll show you mercy? I think because he is my brother, he owes me answers. He owes me the truth about the night my family died. And if the truth is what I think it is, then mercy won't enter into it. Nora shook her head. You're as stubborn as your father was. You knew my father? Met him once, years ago. Stubborn old cuss who'd rather die than admit he was wrong about something. You've got that same look in your eyes. She stood up. All right, if you're determined to get yourselves killed, I can at least make sure you're well fed first. Come on, I'll make you a proper meal. We followed her to a small house behind the post office. She cooked us venison stew with real vegetables, bread that was only a day old. It was the best meal I'd eaten in years. While we ate, Nora told us more about redemption, about the town's layout, about Red Scar's deputies, about the jail where he kept prisoners before they mysteriously disappeared. There's a priest there, she said. Father Matthias, old man but good-hearted, runs the church. If things go bad, if you need sanctuary, go to him. Even Red Scar won't violate church sanctuary. Man might be a killer, but he has still got that much respect for God. Or fear of him anyway. Why are you helping us? Kimimela asked. Because Thomas would want me to, and because I'm tired of standing by while bad men do bad things. I'm old. I've got nothing left to lose except my conscience, and I'd like to die with that intact. After the meal, Nora gave us fresh supplies, ammunition, dried food, a map of redemption with key locations marked. As we were leaving, she pulled me aside. Silas, if this Red Scar really is your brother, you need to be prepared for what that means. Blood doesn't always matter. Sometimes family is the worst enemy you can have because they know exactly how to hurt you. I know. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, you look like a man who's still hoping for something that died 3 years ago. Hope will get you killed faster than bullets. Then I'll die hoping. That's still better than what I've been doing. She squeezed my arm. You're Sarah. She'd be proud of you. Not for the revenge, for trying to live again. We rode out of Pine Ridge an hour before sunset. Redemption was half a day's ride south. We'd arrived by morning. The sky was clear, stars coming out one by one, the kind of night that makes you believe the world might actually be beautiful if you could just forget everything you know about it. Kimimela rode beside me, silent and thoughtful. What Nora said, she finally spoke. About her son, about forgiveness. Do you believe that's possible? After everything that's been done to us? I don't know, I want to, but wanting something and believing it are different things. If Red Scar is your brother, if he's the one who killed your family, will you kill him? Yes, without hesitation. I thought about it, really thought about it. There'll be hesitation. There'll be a moment where I look at him and see the boy who used to help me fix bird wings. But then I'll remember Sarah's face, Daniel's laugh, Rose's songs, and the hesitation will pass. And then? And then I'll do what needs to be done. We rode on through the darkness, two people bound by debts and deaths, and the thin hope that somewhere on the other side of tomorrow there might be something worth calling a future. Behind us, Pine Ridge disappeared into the night. Ahead, redemption waited. And somewhere in that town, a man with my brother's voice and a killer's hands was going about his evening, not knowing that his past was riding toward him, not knowing that the reckoning he'd avoided for 3 years was finally coming due. The stars wheeled overhead, the horses kept their steady pace, and I counted down the miles until morning, when everything would change, one way or another. Redemption looked like a town that had given up on its own name. We rode in just after dawn, the sun barely clearing the mountains, painting everything in shades of gray and gold. The main street was mud and frozen ruts. Buildings leaned against each other like drunks sharing secrets. A handful of people moved through the cold, heads down, minding their own survival. The sheriff's office sat dead center of town, a squat wooden building with barred windows and a sign that read, Sheriff N. Thornton, in faded paint. I pulled my horse to a stop 50 feet away, sat there, staring at that sign, those letters, that name that wasn't quite right, but wasn't quite wrong either. Thornton, not Mercer. My brother had changed his name, changed his life, built a new identity in this dying town, while I spent 3 years digging graves in my head. We don't have to do this, Kimimela said quietly. We can turn around, ride north, disappear. You can? I can't. Why not? Because I've been running for 3 years, running from grief, from guilt, from the question of who killed my family and why. If I turn around now, I'll run for the rest of my life. And I'm tired of running. She nodded, didn't argue, just checked her rifle and dismounted with me. We walked toward the sheriff's office side by side. My heart was hammering against my ribs, hands steady, but only because I'd trained them to be. Inside, everything was chaos, fear and rage and something that might have been hope if I was stupid enough to name it. The door wasn't locked. I pushed it open. The office was small, desk covered in papers, gun rack on the wall, a stove putting out weak heat. And behind the desk, a man. He looked up when we entered. Time stopped. It was Nathaniel, older, harder. The scar across his face was worse than I remembered. Started at his left temple, cut down through his cheek, ended at his jaw. Angry red tissue that looked like it still hurt after all these years. But it was him, my brother. The boy who'd taught me how to fish. The young man who'd left for war and never really came back. We stared at each other across 10 feet of dusty floor. Silas. His voice was rough, like he'd swallowed gravel and forgot how to spit it out. You're alive. So are you. Funny how that works. What are you doing here? Looking for answers. Looking for the man who burned down my cabin and killed my family 3 years ago. Something flickered in his eyes. Not surprise. Recognition. Like he'd been waiting for this conversation and dreading it in equal measure. I didn't know they were inside, he said, but you knew it was my cabin. Silence. Long and heavy. The kind of silence that confirms everything you didn't want to believe. I knew, he finally said. You told me about it years ago, the cabin by the waterfall. Said you'd struck it rich in the mines. Said you had gold hidden there. I never said that. I said I'd made enough to build a life. That's not the same as having gold. To me it was. He stood up slowly, hands visible, not reaching for weapons. I came back from the war with nothing, no money, no prospects. No future, just this. He touched the scar. And memories of things I'd done, things I couldn't undo. So you decided to rob your own brother? I decided to take what I thought you owed me. You got to stay home, build a life, have a family. While I was out there killing and being killed, watching men die screaming, becoming something I didn't recognize. His voice was getting louder, angrier. You had everything. I had nothing. It seemed fair. Fair! I felt the words scrape against my teeth. You think burning down my home and killing my wife and children was fair? I didn't mean to kill them. He slammed his hand on the desk. I broke in while you were gone, searched for the gold, couldn't find it, got frustrated, knocked over a lantern. By the time I realized the place was on fire, it was too late. I didn't know they were inside. I swear to God, Silas, I didn't know. You didn't check, didn't call out, just ran? I panicked. The fire was spreading fast. I heard someone scream, and I ran. I'm a coward. Is that what you want to hear? I'm a damned coward who killed his own family because he was too scared to face what he'd done. Kimmy Mella had been silent this whole time. Now she spoke. And the Apache women, the ones you've been hunting, what's your excuse for them? Nathaniel looked at her for the first time. Really looked at her. His expression changed, hardened. Who are you? Someone who's lost people too. Someone who's been hurt by men who use their pain as an excuse to cause more pain. I don't need excuses. I have reasons. He moved around the desk, closer to us. 2 years ago, I arrested an Apache man for theft. He escaped, killed my deputy. That deputy was a good man, had a wife, 3 kids. They died because I let that Apache go. So you hunt Apache women? I said. How does that make sense? It doesn't. Nothing makes sense anymore. But at least when I'm hunting them, I'm doing something. At least I'm not just sitting with my guilt. You're spreading it around, making more widows, more orphans, more people who will spend their lives wondering why, like I made you. He looked at me dead on. That's why you're really here, isn't it? Not for answers, for revenge. You want to kill me. Yes. The honesty of it seemed to surprise him. Well, at least you're honest about it. He moved back to his desk, opened a drawer. I tensed, ready to draw. But he pulled out a bottle instead. Whiskey. Poured 2 glasses, pushed one toward me. Drink with me. Then you can kill me. Seems fair. I don't want your whiskey. Humor a dead man. I looked at that glass. At my brother's scarred face. At the years that had carved themselves into both of us like knife work. I picked up the glass, drank it in one swallow. It burned all the way down. Nathaniel drank his too, poured 2 more. I've thought about you, he said. Every day for 3 years. Wondered if you were still alive. Wondered if you knew it was me. Wondered when you'd come. I didn't know for sure, not until today. And now that you do, now I have to decide if killing you will bring them back or just make me the same as you. He laughed, sharp and bitter. We're already the same, little brother. We're both killers. You just haven't pulled the trigger yet. There's a difference between justice and murder, is there? Because from where I'm standing, they look pretty similar. The door crashed open behind us. We both spun, hands going to weapons. A man stood in the doorway, 45 maybe. Weathered face, eyes like chips of ice, 2 pistols on his belt and a rifle in his hands. Well, he said. Sheriff Thornton, heard you had visitors, thought I'd pay my respects. Dutch, Nathaniel said. His voice had gone flat. This isn't your business. Ain't a bet that there's an Apache woman? I've got a standing bounty for Apache, $200, dead or alive. Dutch Kane smiled. No warmth in it, just teeth. Seems like my business to me. She's under my protection, I said. And who the hell are you? Someone who's had a very long week and isn't in the mood for this. Dutch laughed. I like you, got spine. But spine don't stop bullets. He raised his rifle, pointing it at Kimmy Mella. Step aside, friend. Let me do my job. Everything slowed down. I saw Nathaniel's hand move toward his gun, saw Dutch's fingers start to tighten on the trigger, saw Kimmy Mella reaching for her own weapon, but knowing she'd never be fast enough. Time to decide. Time to choose what kind of man I was going to be. I drew and fired in one motion. Didn't aim for Dutch, aimed for his rifle. The bullet hit the barrel, knocked it upward just as he pulled the trigger. His shot went wild, punching through the ceiling. Dutch stumbled back, surprised. Looked down at his bent rifle, then at me. You just made the worst mistake of your life. Won't be my first, probably won't be my last. He dropped the rifle and went for his pistols. But Nathaniel was already moving. My brother crossed the distance between them faster than I would have thought possible. Grabbed Dutch's wrist, twisted hard. Something cracked. Dutch screamed and his gun fell. Nathaniel drove his fist into Dutch's face. Once, twice, 3 times. Dutch went down hard, blood streaming from his nose. "Get out of my town," Nathaniel said, voice cold as January wind. "You come back, I'll kill you myself." Dutch scrambled up, cradling his broken wrist, shot me a look full of poison. "This ain't over." "It is if you're smart." He backed toward the door. $200. That's what she's worth. Every bounty hunter between here and Denver is going to hear about this. You can't protect her forever. Don't have to protect her forever, just long enough. Dutch spat blood on the floor and left. Silence filled the office again, but it was different now, charged, complicated. Nathaniel turned to face me. "You could have let him shoot her, would have solved your problem, would have created new ones." "Like what?" "Like me having to look at myself in the mirror knowing I let an innocent woman die because I was too busy hating you?" "She's not innocent, none of us are." "Maybe not, but she doesn't deserve to die for your sins or mine." Nathaniel moved to the window, looked out at the street. Dutch was mounting his horse, still holding his wrist. Other men were watching. Word would spread. "You've complicated things," Nathaniel said. "Dutch has friends. They'll come back. And when they do, it won't be just him. It'll be a dozen men with guns and no conscience. Then we'll deal with them." "We?" He looked at me. "You'd fight beside me? After what I did? I'd fight beside you to protect her." "Don't confuse that with forgiveness. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it." "You're right. You don't." I holstered my gun. "But you're still my brother. And as much as I want to hate you, as much as I want to put a bullet in you and call it justice, I can't. Because if I kill you, I become exactly what this frontier makes of everyone. Another killer with a good excuse." Kimimela spoke up. "What about the Apache women you hunted? The 6 who disappeared?" Nathaniel flinched like she'd slapped him. "I arrested them, sent them to trial. What happened after I didn't control. You didn't ask either, didn't care enough to follow up. That makes you complicit." "I know what it makes me." He turned to face her fully. "I know I'm damned. I know there's no redemption for me, despite this town's name. But I can still do one thing right. I can protect you until you're strong enough to run far enough that men like Dutch can't find you." "Why would you do that?" "Because your brother Dakota, the man who came to Silas's cabin with warriors, he's right. You're cursed, but not the way he thinks. You're cursed because you remind me of someone I used to be, someone who believed people could be better than their worst moments." He moved back to his desk, sat down heavily. "Let me help you. Let me do one decent thing before I die." "You're not dying," I said. "Aren't I? You came here to kill me." "Dutch wants me dead for interfering. Dakota and his warriors probably want my head on a pike. I'm a dead man who hasn't stopped breathing yet. Might as well make the breathing count for something." There was a knock at the door, soft, tentative. An old man entered, 70 years if he was a day, dressed in black with a white collar. Priest. "Sheriff," he said, "I heard shots. Is everything all right?" "Father Matthias," Nathaniel said, "always showing up when things are worst. It's a gift. It's a calling." The priest looked at me and Kimimela. "I don't believe we've met. Silas Mercer, this is Kimimela." "Mercer." Father Matthias studied my face. "You have the sheriff's eyes. Brothers?" "Unfortunately." "I see." The priest moved into the room, gentle and unhurried. "I heard Dutch Kane was here. I heard he made threats." "He did. He'll make good on them too. Probably bring a dozen men when he comes back." Father Matthias nodded slowly. "Then you'll need sanctuary. My church is small, but it's sacred ground. Even men like Dutch won't violate that." "Why would you help us?" Kimimela asked. "Because I've known Sheriff Thornton for 2 years. I've seen what he's become, what this work has made of him, and I've prayed every night that he'd find a reason to be better." The priest looked at Nathaniel. "Perhaps you're that reason, both of you." "I'm nobody's reason for anything," I said. "You're a brother who came looking for truth instead of just revenge. That's more reason than most men need." The sound of horses outside drew our attention. We moved to the window. A group of riders was entering town. 20 of them, Apache warriors in full dress, and at their head someone I recognized, Dakota. "Hell," Nathaniel muttered, "this just gets better and better." But Dakota wasn't alone. Riding beside him was young Hawk, and behind them 2 older women, elders by their bearing. They stopped in the middle of the street. Dakota dismounted, walked toward the sheriff's office with purpose. "Stay here," I said to Kimimela. "Like hell I will. He's my brother." We went outside together. Nathaniel followed, hand on his gun. Father Matthias came last, probably planning to administer last rites to whoever needed them. Dakota stopped 10 feet away. Young Hawk moved up beside him to translate. "The war chief Dakota says he's come for his sister. He says he's come to bring her home." "I'm not going home," Kimimela said in English, then repeated it in Apache. One of the elder women spoke. Young Hawk translated. "The elder Winona says that decisions have been reconsidered. The tribe will accept Kimimela back. The curse is lifted." "Convenient," Kimimela said. "What changed?" The other elder spoke. "Elder Aylin says that dreams have been sent. Visions that show your mother Winona was wrong to save the white woman Sarah. That debt has brought nothing but pain and dishonor. But the spirits say the debt is not yet paid. It must be completed." "What does that mean?" I asked. Young Hawk looked uncomfortable. "It means the tribe believes you must die, Silas Mercer, to balance the debt. Your life for the life your wife would have lost in the desert. That's insane. It's tradition. It's law. It's the only way Kimimela can come home without shame." I looked at Kimimela. She was staring at her brother, at the elders, at the warriors behind them. Her face was unreadable. "What do you want?" I asked her. "What? You heard them. They'll take you back. All you have to do is let them kill me. So what do you want?" She was quiet for a long time. The whole street was quiet, waiting. Finally she spoke, not to me, to Dakota, in Apache, long and passionate. I didn't understand the words, but I understood the tone, defiance, determination, choice. Young Hawk looked stunned. The elders exchanged glances. Dakota's face went hard. "What did she say?" I asked young Hawk. He swallowed. "She said no. She said she won't come home if it costs your life. She said her mother saved Sarah so that life would continue, not so that more death would follow. She said the debt is already paid by mercy, not blood. And she said if the tribe cannot accept that, then she will never be part of the tribe again." Dakota spoke, harsh, angry. "He says she's a fool. Says she's choosing a white man over her own people. Tell him she's not choosing a white man. She's choosing herself, her own conscience, her own path. That's not betrayal. That's courage." Young Hawk translated. Dakota's jaw worked. He looked at his sister for a long moment. Then he did something I didn't expect. He pulled his knife, held it up, and drew it across his own palm. Blood welled up, dripped onto the frozen ground. He spoke. Young Hawk translated. "Dakota says blood has been spilled. The ritual is complete. If you won't come home through his death or yours, then you'll come home through his blood. He releases you from the tribe. Officially, completely, you are free." Tears were streaming down Kimimela's face. She spoke in Apache again, soft this time, almost a whisper. "She says thank you. She says she'll never forget she's his sister, but she has to find her own way now." Dakota nodded once, turned to mount his horse. But before he did, he looked at me, spoke in halting English. "You protect her, or I come back. I'll protect her." "Good." He swung onto his horse. The elders and warriors followed suit, but young Hawk hesitated. "Silas," he said, "Dutch Kane is gathering men. I heard it in the next town. He's bringing 12 riders, maybe more. They'll be here by nightfall." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm tired of watching good people die for bad reasons. And because I think you might be the kind of man who can change things if you live long enough." He mounted and rode off with the others. We watched them disappear into the morning light. I turned to Nathaniel. 12 men, maybe more. "You have deputies?" "Had 2. Both quit last month. Said they didn't sign up to fight wars." Smart men. Cowards. Sometimes that's the same thing. Father Matthias cleared his throat. I may not carry a gun, but I can load them. And my church has a bell tower. Good vantage point. I looked at this old priest, this man who'd probably never fired a shot in anger in his life. You'd fight? I'd protect. There's a difference, but yes, if it comes to it, I'll stand with you. Nathaniel was staring at me. Why are you still here? You got what you came for. You know I killed your family. You know I'm not worth saving. Why not just leave and let Dutch finish what you couldn't? Because you're right. You're not worth saving, but she is. I nodded toward Kimimela. And if I run now, Dutch will hunt her forever. Better to end it here. We're outnumbered 3-1, 4-1 if the priest doesn't count. I count, Father Matthias said mildly. Still bad odds. I've survived worse. Have you? I thought about the last 3 years, the isolation, the grief, the nights with a gun in my hand, trying to find a reason not to use it. Yeah, I said, I have, and I'm still here. That's got to count for something. Nathaniel almost smiled. You always were too stubborn to die. Learned from the best. We stood there, 2 brothers, 3 years, and 1,000 sins between us. Not forgiven, not forgotten. But maybe, for the moment, on the same side. All right, Nathaniel said. If we're going to do this, we do it right. We fortify, we prepare. And when Dutch comes, we make damn sure he regrets it. Agreed. Kimimela stepped forward. What about me? I can fight. I know you can, but I need you for something else. What? I need you to live. Whatever happens today, you survive. You get away. You find a life somewhere that doesn't include men like me or my brother or Dutch Kane. Can you do that? I won't run. I'm not asking you to run. I'm asking you to be ready to live. There's a difference. She held my gaze for a long moment, then nodded. The sun was climbing higher, the day was warming up, and somewhere out there, Dutch Kane was gathering men and guns and hate. We had maybe 8 hours before they arrived. 8 hours to prepare for a fight we'd probably lose. When the sun started to drop, we saw them coming. Dust rising from the south road. 12 riders, just like young Hawk had said. Dutch Kane at the front, his broken wrist wrapped, but his hate intact. They stopped 50 yards from the sheriff's office. Thornton, Dutch's voice carried across the evening air. Send out the Apache woman. Last chance. Nathaniel stepped onto the porch beside me. Can't do that, Dutch. She's under the law's protection. Your law's a joke. You're a joke. A killer with a badge. Takes one to know one. Dutch spat. All right then. We do this the hard way. His men spread out. Took positions behind water troughs, wagons, corner posts. Professional. Prepared. Father Matthias was already in the bell tower. I saw the glint of his rifle barrel catching the last light. Here they come, Nathaniel muttered. The first shot rang out. From Dutch's side, hit the doorframe next to my head, sent splinters flying. I returned fire, caught one of Dutch's men in the shoulder. He went down cursing. Then it was chaos, bullets everywhere, the smell of gunpowder, the sound of wood splintering and men shouting, and Kimimela inside, loading rifles as fast as we could fire them. Father Matthias got 2 of them from the bell tower. Clean shots. The old priest had better aim than he'd let on. Nora Hutchins came riding in from nowhere, rifle blazing, put a round so close to Dutch's head he had to dive for cover. 3 hours, that's how long we held them. 3 hours of smoke and blood and the kind of violence that doesn't make you feel like a hero, just makes you feel tired. By the time the sun set, 6 of Dutch's men were wounded, 2 were dead. The rest had retreated to the edge of town, regrouping. That's when Dutch made his move. Came at the office from the side, kicked in the back door while we were watching the front. Burst through with both pistols drawn. Saw Kimimela, aimed, and Nathaniel stepped between them. The shots were deafening in the small space. Both bullets hit my brother in the chest. He went down hard, blood spreading across his shirt. I didn't think, just acted, put 3 rounds in Dutch Kane, center mass. He was dead before he hit the floor. The shooting stopped after that. Dutch's remaining men scattered. Redemption was silent again. Nathaniel was still breathing, barely. 8 hours to figure out if redemption was something you could find in a dying town with a broken name. Or if it was just another lie we told ourselves to make the dying easier. "Let's get to work," I said. And we did, 1 year later. Spring came to Montana like a promise kept after a long betrayal. Snow melted into rivers, grass pushed up through thawing ground, trees remembered they had leaves. I stood at the 4 graves behind my cabin, hat in my hands, morning sun warm on my face. Sarah, Daniel, Rose, Nathaniel. I'd added the 4th grave 8 months ago, right after the first snow of winter. Used the same care carving his marker as I had for my wife and children, because at the end, he'd earned that much. "Morning," I said to them, like I always did. "Sun's up, birds are back, spring's here." I told them about the cabin, about the 2 rooms I'd added, about the garden Kimimela had planted, about the 3 children who filled the spaces that had been empty for so long. "You'd like them, Sarah. Lily reminds me of Rose, climbs everything, sings to herself. Running deer is serious like Daniel was, always watching, always thinking. And little Hawk, he's just happy, laughs at everything. You'd have loved that." I talked about Nora Hutchins, how she visited every week, bringing books and stories and a grandmother's wisdom, how she'd learned to smile again after spending years forgetting how. Talked about young Hawk and his wife, who'd settled near Pine Ridge, about the baby they were expecting, about the way he was trying to build bridges between 2 worlds that had been at war for longer than anyone could remember. And Nathaniel. I looked at the newest grave. "You were right, Sarah, about what you always said, that people can be better than their worst moments if someone gives them a chance." Because at the end, when Dutch Kane and his 12 riders came to redemption, Nathaniel had made a choice. The fight had been brutal. Father Matthias in the bell tower with a rifle he barely knew how to use, calling out positions. Kimimela loading weapons faster than I could fire them. Nathaniel and I back to back, defending the sheriff's office like it was the Alamo. We'd held them off for 3 hours, wounded 6, killed 2. The town had rallied too, store owners, farmers. Even Nora had ridden in with her husband's old hunting rifle and put a bullet through Dutch Kane's hat, but Dutch had gotten through. Burst into the office with murder in his eyes and a pistol in each hand. He'd aimed at Kimimela, and Nathaniel had stepped between them, took both bullets in the chest, went down hard. I'd killed Dutch after that, put 3 rounds in him before he hit the floor, didn't feel good about it, didn't feel bad either, just felt necessary. Nathaniel had lived long enough to see the sun set, long enough to tell me he was sorry, long enough to ask if I thought God would forgive him. I told him I didn't know about God, I said to the grave, but I forgave him. Don't know if that was the right thing to do, don't know if it was enough, but it was all I had to give. A sound behind me made me turn. Kimimela stood at the edge of the clearing, hair longer now, face softer. The wound she had carried had healed on the outside, still working on the inside, but we all were. "You talk to them every morning," she said. "Not a question, just an observation. Keeps them close." "Do they talk back?" "Sometimes, in the way the dead do, through memories, through the way they shaped who I am." She walked over to stand beside me. We looked at the graves together. "I visited my son's grave last month," she said. She paused, then placed a hand on her stomach, a gesture so small I almost missed it. "There's something else," she said quietly, "something I haven't told you." I waited. "I'm carrying a child, conceived before I was cast out. The father died in a raid 6 months before they exiled me. I didn't know I was pregnant until after I left." My chest tightened. "Does your brother know?" "No, and he won't. This child is mine, but Silas," she looked at me directly, "I don't want to raise it alone. If you're willing, if you'd consider it, I'd like this child to have a father, not by blood, by choice." I thought about Sarah, about Daniel and Rose, about the children I'd lost and the children who now ran through my home. "Yeah," I said. "Yeah, I'd like that." Her smile was real, full, the first time I'd seen her truly happy. "The baby will come in the fall," she said. "We'll need to add another room. Then we'll add another room. First time since they exiled me, the tribe didn't stop me. Dakota had made sure they knew I was under his protection, even if I wasn't part of them anymore. How did it feel? Sad, but peaceful too, like I'd finally said goodbye properly. We were quiet for a while, just standing there in the morning light, two people who'd been broken and were slowly figuring out how to be whole. "The children are awake," she said. "Lily wants pancakes. Running Deer wants to help with the horses. Little Hawk just wants to play in the mud." Sounds about right. I put my hat back on. "I'll be in soon." She started to leave, then turned back. "Silas?" "Yeah? Thank you for everything, for saving me, for protecting me, for giving me a reason to believe life could be good again. You gave me the same thing." "Did I?" "You reminded me that debts aren't just about settling scores. They're about opening doors. Your mother saved Sarah so we could have 15 more years together. I saved you so you could have whatever comes next. That's how it works. We save each other and hope it means something." She smiled. Small, but real. "It means something." She walked back toward the cabin. I watched her go, then turned back to the graves one more time. "I'm going to be all right," I told them. It took a while. Took meeting someone as broken as I was. Took a fight that could have killed us all. Took losing you, Nathaniel, to understand what I had with you before. The wind moved through the trees, carried the sound of children laughing from the cabin, carried the scent of pine and earth and things growing. But I'm going to be all right. We all are. The kids, Kimimela, me. We're building something here, not a replacement for what I lost. Nothing could replace you, but something new. Something that honors the debt your mother started, Sarah. The debt that saved your life so you could give me mine. I touched each headstone once. Sarah, Daniel, Rose, Nathaniel. Rest easy, all of you. I've got it from here. I walked back to the cabin. Smoke was rising from the chimney. Through the window, I could see Kimimela helping Lily measure flour. Running Deer was already outside, leading one of the horses to water. Little Hawk was indeed playing in the mud. A year ago, this place had been a tomb, a shrine to death and grief and everything I'd lost. Now it was loud, messy, full of life that demanded attention and gave love without asking if you deserved it. Nora's wagon was coming up the road. She visited every week without fail, bringing supplies and gossip and a grandmother's firm hand when the children got too wild. I'd asked her once why she bothered, why she spent so much time helping a man she barely knew raise children who weren't his. "Because Thomas would have wanted me to," she'd said, "and because you're doing what I should have done years ago, choosing love over hate, life over death. That deserves support." She pulled up now, waving. I waved back. Behind her, another rider was approaching. Young Hawk, with his pregnant wife beside him on the horse. They'd ridden out from Pine Ridge to visit. Did that once a month, sharing meals and stories and the slow work of building friendship between people who'd been taught to be enemies. "Silas," Lily called from the doorway, "pancakes are ready. Kimimela made extra." "Coming." I took one last look at the mountains, at the endless sky, at the land that had nearly killed me, and then, somehow, taught me how to live again. Winter had been long. Longer than any winter should be. 3 years of ice and darkness and grief so heavy I'd thought it would bury me. But spring had come, like it always did, like it always would. Not because the world was fair or kind or just, but because that's what spring did. It came. It thawed. It reminded you that nothing lasted forever. Not pain, not loss, not the weight of debts you thought you'd never pay. I thought about the gun I'd buried in the snow a year ago, still there probably, wrapped in oilcloth, waiting for hands that would never dig it up. I didn't need it anymore, didn't need the easy way out, didn't need the solution that ended everything, because I'd found something better, something harder, something that required me to wake up every morning and choose to keep going. I'd found people who needed me, and maybe more importantly, I'd found people I needed. Kimimela appeared in the doorway again. "Silas, food's getting cold. On my way." As I walked toward the cabin, toward the smoke and noise and beautiful chaos of this new life, I heard it, faint, maybe just in my head, but I heard it anyway. Sarah's voice, not sad, not haunting, just warm, just her. Thank you for remembering the water. Thank you for honoring the debt. Now go, live, be happy. We'll be here when you're ready. But not yet. Not for a long time. I stopped at the door, looked back at the graves one more time. They were just wood and earth and memory now. Not prisons, not chains, just a part of the landscape, part of the story, part of what had made me who I was, but not everything I had to be. I went inside. Lily grabbed my hand, pulling me toward the table. Running Deer was already seated, serious and patient. Little Hawk climbed into my lap without asking, muddy hands and all. Kimmy set down a plate of pancakes, steam rising, real maple syrup, a meal made with care and served with love. Nora came through the door without knocking. Young Hawk and his wife followed. The cabin filled up with voices and laughter and the sound of forks on plates. This was my life now, not the one I'd planned, not the one I'd lost, but the one I'd fought for. The one I'd chosen when I could have chosen death or revenge or endless isolation. And as I sat there, surrounded by people who'd been strangers a year ago and were family now, I realized something. The debt was paid, not because I'd done enough, not because suffering had balanced out, but because I'd learned what Sarah had always known, what her mother Winona had known when she gave water to a dying woman in the desert. Debts aren't about evening scores. They're about passing forward the mercy we've been given, about taking the gift of our survival and turning it into someone else's second chance. Winona saved Sarah. Sarah's memory saved Kimmy. Kimmy's presence saved me. And now we'd save these children, give them a life, give them love, give them the chance to grow up and save someone else someday. That was the debt, not a burden, not a weight, a gift that kept giving long after the first giver was gone. Silas? Lily was tugging my sleeve. You're not eating, just thinking. About what? About how lucky I am. You're silly. But she smiled when she said it. I ate my pancakes, listened to the conversations around me, made plans for the afternoon. The garden needed weeding. Running Deer wanted to learn how to shoe a horse. Little Hawk needed a bath whether he wanted one or not. Normal things, living things. The kind of things I'd thought I'd lost the right to when I failed to save my first family. But I'd been wrong. There was no losing the right to live. No forfeiting your chance at happiness because you'd failed before. There was just the choice, every morning, every day. To honor the dead by living well. To remember what was lost by protecting what remained. To carry the weight of the past without letting it crush the possibility of the future. Outside, the mountains stood eternal. The sun climbed higher. Spring settled into the valley with warm winds and melting snow. And inside a cabin that had been a tomb and was now a home, a man who'd wanted to die learned how to live again. I'd spent 3 years asking why I survived when they didn't. Now I knew. I survived to carry forward what they'd given me. Love, mercy. The kind of stubborn hope that refuses to die even when dying seems easier. The last winter was over, and spring had come, not because it was impossible, but because that's what life does. It continues, it heals, it grows. Even when we think we've lost everything, there's still tomorrow. And tomorrow, there's still a chance to build something worth staying alive for. The end.